Welcome to Have I Got News For You? I'm Mel Gedroych. In the news this week, shocking footage reveals that not even the management at the Sports Direct warehouse get enough time for their lunch break. In Saudi Arabia, traditionalists' worst fears are confirmed that letting women drive on the roads was just the thin end of the wedge. And the BBC's Autumn Watch is inundated with complaints as new footage captures all too vividly the savage cruelty of nature. On Ian's team tonight is a comedian who was recently described by one critic as hamster-cheeked. I disagree, I think he's got a lovely bottom. Please welcome Al Cruttenden. Al! And with Paul tonight is an award-winning writer whose book, The Boy with the Top Knot, follows his parents' lives from rural Punjab to the steps of the Wolverhampton Tourist Office, whose staff surely have the toughest job in the world. Please welcome Satnam Sanghera. And we start with the biggest stories of the week. Paul and Satnam take a look at this.
Oh, yes, this is the never-ending story. Oh, God, look at him, there he is. David Davis, there's a photograph of the DUP, and that's a man getting very annoyed. He can't believe it. He's just lost out in the Kevin Costner look-alike competition. So, yeah, this is about the border, the Irish border between Northern Ireland and the Republic of Ireland. It's got to be sorted out before Sunday in a couple of days' time, so then it will all be all right.
Nice. Satnam,
so basically this is Theresa May's latest attempt to make Brexit happen, even though she backed Remain. And she's been vetoed by the DUP, who are for Brexit, although they represent Northern Ireland, which are Remain. And the whole thing is being opposed by Jeremy Corbyn, who said he was Remain, but actually is probably Brexit. So Brexit is just going really well.
You make that sound incredibly easy.
Oh, it is. As David Davis said.
Is he the thickest man that's ever lived, do you think, David Davis?
The thickest?
The thickest man that's ever lived. I mean, there's probably other thicker people, but I can't think of them at the moment. Did you see his appearance yesterday, on Wednesday it was, you know, when he appeared in front of a parliamentary select committee and said, oh, no, we haven't done anything. Nothing. I know I said we'd done loads of things, but we haven't.
I secretly, though...
No, don't make us keep it a secret.
Oh, sorry, okay.
Are you about to say that you secretly fancy him?
No, not fancy him. No. I've always quite liked his style,
David Davis?
I don't know why. I've always quite liked
his style?
And I've got a feeling, that whole thing when he's, you know, what is it, all the tests they're meant to be doing?
Impact assessments.
Impact assessments,
yes.
I've got this feeling that he's doing it to make sure we all still have a lovely Christmas and don't see the tree. Do you know what I mean? I can't think he's got evil intentions.
And you called Davis the thickest man.
I withdraw my comments.
I'm not a Tory, by the way, I'd like to point out. I just am sympathetic to all political parties. And I thought...
Sympathetic to all political parties? What have I got here?
This is really bad. I've got a secret... Have you not got a secret respect for politicians?
So what was the fun side of Hitler?
Look, he's trying to be nice.
Come on.
He just seems like quite a nice man.
He had a very bad day, even if you like him.
I think his argument was that the Parliament was asking for impact assessments, but actually what he had was sectoral analysis. Yeah. So therefore he didn't have to produce it. And it's a bit like saying, I haven't produced the homework because you call it homework, but I call it homework.
Even the stuff he had, he said there's some enormous document and that he's only read the start of and then gave up.
It's understandable, though, because Brexit is really boring. You know, for me, more than anything else, it feels like a really long Indian wedding, you know? You've been stuck in a marquee in Luton for 5 days. You know. Your uncles are talking about the buy-to-let market. There's another 5 days to go. And basically, you will do anything to get out of it, up to and including agreeing to Brexit.
So, is it like a long Indian divorce, then?
Oh, we don't divorce.
Oh, right.
This is indeed news that arguments about boring old Brexit, as you've said, have been overshadowed by arguments about scary old Northern Ireland.
It all came up at lunch. I mean...
Really?
Yeah!
Very unpleasant. Jean-Claude!
It was a celebratory lunch, and in the middle of it, she gets a phone call and she says, oh, sorry, you know, I said over the starter that I've agreed everything. I haven't. We're going home. And that was it. Arlene Foster phoned up, said no.
Yeah.
Which is a traditional Northern Irish greeting.
My wife is from the Northern Ireland Unionist community, and I would warn Theresa May, you do not mess with these people. I've so many times had my plans smashed.
Like what, Hal?
Can I go out for a curry with Marcus and Simon? No! You know, it's... I just think Theresa's going to end up sleeping on the couch. And,
Does anyone know what's the difference between no regulatory divergence and continued regulatory alignment?
Divergence is what the DUP fear in thinking that Northern Ireland might be different in some way from the rest of the UK, which it is in lots of other ways, which they don't mind in the slightest. There's different laws there, there's different regulations there, not least the libel laws. This is interesting now.
Oh, it's great. This is great.
the DUP want to be close to the UK on things on this issue, but they don't in things like gay marriage and abortion and things that might drag them out the 1950s. Sorry, but I just said that to stick it to the in-laws, really. But, no, I do...
How's Christmas looking?
Yes. Awkward, yes. Good. I might get very ill and not be able to go.
Now, the Foreign Secretary, Boris Johnson, made an official visit to Ireland last month. How did Boris's Foreign Office officials brief the Irish government in advance?
He's an idiot.
It's pretty much on the nose, actually, Paul. Yeah, according to Sky News, they told the Irish not to listen to a word he says. That's his own office. So good. Who else is losing faith in Boris?
Is it his dad?
Yes. Oh. Absolutely. Apparently the first thing he said on emerging from the celebrity jungle was, is Boris still Foreign Secretary? What, according to the Times, is Theresa May's fundamental problem?
I should know this, given I work for the Times.
Yeah, come on, Satnam.
I have no idea.
Fudge.
Oh!
Fudge.
Right.
She's been trying to fudge her way through the EU negotiations.
Yeah, well, that's what negotiations are, aren't
Exactly.
You know she's diabetic, and that's slightly unfortunate thing to pick up on.
they? There'll be a fudge.
There'll be a fudge.
Just wait till this is on Dave. We'll all be laughing.
What do the Labour Party think should be done in these EU negotiations?
They think they should keep very, very quiet.
Yeah.
In case anyone notices that they haven't got an idea either.
You're absolutely right. They're not saying anything. And according to The Telegraph, Jeremy Corbyn reportedly stopped his EU spokesman from talking to the media after the Prime Minister's Brussels failure. Furious Labour MPs are threatening to rebel against Jeremy Corbyn if he refuses to stand up for a soft Brexit. Oh dear, I think John McDonnell will be visiting them with his ice pick. Who is the real architect of this whole sorry ruddy mess?
Cameron.
Dave Cameron, yeah. He decided to gamble the country's future on a referendum just to settle a pathetic argument in his mental party.
Yeah.
I think we send the letters about BBC bias to you.
Here he is, back in July 2016, walking away after lighting the blue touch paper.
Thank you very much. Right.
There's a book written by Tim Shipman called Fallout, which is about David Cameron, and in the months after the referendum, friends said he was sanguine about the situation. One friend said, the thing about David is he's a self-confident, secure person, and he doesn't hold grudges or sit awake at night. He's more interested in what animal he's going to shoot, what claret he's going to have for lunch, or where he's going to shag Sam next. He's not a political obsessive, which is one of his great strengths. Oh, he's a great loss, isn't he? Would you like to see a baby that looks like David Cameron?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah? Yes. Come on, here we go. There we go. That is Bobby Carter there, little baby, who's been in the news this week for his exceptional head of Cameron-esque hair.
Fantastic hair.
Who is still raking it in from the EU?
Oh,
Nigel
Nigel Farage.
Absolutely. Oh, in unison, team.
Yeah.
He's got a pension now, isn't he?
Yes, do you know how much?
Oh, £67,000 a year.
73,000.
73, yes.
73?
Do we play higher and lower?
He thinks his family shouldn't suffer, so he's very kindly decided to take this pension from the EU.
Yes.
I don't remember that figure on the side of the bus, do you?
I hardly dare ask this, but Hal, Do you quite like Nigel Farage?
Can I say one thing about Nigel
How?
Farage? He has the voice of an angel, doesn't he? Do you not
Right, it's
find
quite
it, though?
gravelly. It's quite
There's
gravelly.
something about his voice, and I thought...
Do angels
is
have
that what it
particularly
is?
gravelly voices? Mary, you're going to have a baby, do you know what I mean? Now, Joseph, he ain't the father, but, you know, keep him sweet. Keep him sweet. He's going to be the son of God. You're going to call him Jesus. Must go.
Although, news just in, the government has just proposed a new draft agreement and they are discussing it with the DUP as we speak.
Has it all been settled? Oh, thank goodness for that. All that cynicism. Quite right. Good old Mrs May sorted it out.
The EU Commission said talks would continue into the night, adding, "Tonight more than ever, stay tuned." This is Theresa May's attempt to ruin the Good Friday Agreement with the really bad Monday Agreement. A senior DUP figure said, "This is a battle of who blinks first, and we've cut off our eyelids." Well, to be fair, when talking about Brexit, that's just about the only way you can stay awake. After Nigel Farage revealed that he intends to claim his EU pension of £73,000 a year, he denied he was a hypocrite, saying, "I've just voted to get rid of my job. I was the turkey that voted for Christmas. So, in the festive spirit, let's pull out his giblets and shove an onion up his arse." Ian and Hal take a little look at this.
Yes, this is people logging in to important sites, private.
Yes.
That's a magazine with one word left off it.
Never seen it.
Oh, here we are. It's the police. Time to invade the House of Commons. This is how policing in Britain works. A man was apparently accessing porn 9 years ago, legally, and the police found this out, waited, and then released the information, which was confidential, into the public domain later for their own purposes. The policeman was called Bob Quick, which, given he took 9 years to report this,
It's also slightly
quite amusing.
It's also slightly pornographic, Bob Quick, isn't
Yeah,
it?
it's what you need to be if you're watching porn at work,
Yes.
isn't it?
No, you're absolutely right, Ian, and how this is the ongoing scandal over claims pornography was found on Damien Green's House of Commons computer. Neil Lewis, who was responsible for seizing and analysing Green's computer at the time, he sparked controversy this week after disclosing confidential information gathered during the investigation. What did he say?
He said there was loads of porn on the machine.
More specific?
Quite extreme porn.
More specific?
Animal porn?
Was it European porn?
Chessington World of Adventure.
He said, according to the Mail anyway, Lewis said he found thousands of pornographic thumbnail images, which does sound a bit weird, but if it's what you're into and it's not harming anyone, then I'm cool with that. Why are Damien Green's troubles particularly difficult for Theresa May?
She was very good friends with him at university.
Yeah.
That's it, isn't it?
No.
She's very close to him politically.
Absolutely. No,
so it could, if he isn't fired, people might say it's because he's her good friend.
A cabinet source told the Sunday Times, "There's a danger with saving him because he's so close to her and it'll look like she's looking after her mate's job. There's also a danger that they keep him and then you have to get rid of him 2 weeks later if something else comes out. You get covered in shit twice."
And I bet that was on one of the videos.
Yes.
Sorry.
Who came out in defence of Damien Green?
Is this David Davis?
Davey.
Sorry.
Yeah, David
there
Davey.
was a story that he said, if you fire him, I'll resign.
Yes.
But a lot of people said he was just looking for an excuse to resign.
Labour responded to Davis's intervention. What did they say?
Jess Phillips.
Jess Phillips.
Yeah.
She mocked Davis's stance, tweeting, "David Davis, your red line, your hill to die on is really something. What made you want to become an MP? Great question. I really wanted to fight hard so people can wank at work." Jess has really lowered the tone. I do apologise. And we should say that Damien Green is adamant he has never watched or downloaded pornography on the computer. How might Jeremy Corbyn find himself near some pornography very soon?
Oh, you mean if GQ is displayed on the top shelf?
Oh.
Yes. He's on the cover of GQ. This is Jeremy Corbyn. Ding dong, Jeremy! Look at that. Do you think that's his real body, or have they superimposed his head?
He does come out very well, doesn't he? A very attractive man. I'm not...
You think he's been airbrushed?
I think he might have been a little touched up. Do you want to have a look at the original picture?
Yes.
There we go. According to editor Dylan Jones, taking the picture was as difficult as shooting any Hollywood celebrity.
Dylan Jones, by the way, wrote the most sycophantic book about David Cameron in the history
He's a bit of a right-winger, isn't he?
sycophantic books.
Yeah.
Do you think they did it hoping it would backfire? So they did him up, thought it'd make him look ridiculous,
Oh, no.
and actually he turns out to be a bit of a stunner.
It's a strange editorial approach, putting people on the cover just to laugh at them. Really, I mean...
There's no future in that.
It'll never work. What might have particularly annoyed Corbyn this week? We know that he does like to travel by train.
Rail fare's going up.
No, you're absolutely right. Rail fare rises.
Yeah, they've gone up again.
They've gone up again by an average of 3.4%.
Way above inflation.
Were you about that, Ian?
Yeah. Brexit. Trains.
Yep, it was
That was
announced.
Popeye you were doing then. You can add that to your list of impersonations. Popeye, Gladstone, Gracie Fields, you can do all of them all.
And finally, which train service is worth paying for? Little clue.
I know, I saw
Thomas the Tank Engine.
Thank you.
Yes, I've
Thomas
seen...
the Tank Engine
Thomas
came
the-
into the station.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Brilliant.
Yes, Thomas the Tank Engine.
No, it's not me. I'm miming to this bloke over here.
It is Thomas the Tank Engine, who just gets better and better.
Yeah, they've introduced a lot of new characters to make it
Yes.
more realistic.
Yeah.
There's Ronnie the replacement bus. It's got better. There's lots of new and modern...
Yes. There's also
Twists.
something marvellous. I don't know if you've seen it. It's some people called 5 Mad Movie Makers. They're on YouTube, and it went viral this week. Have a look at this.
Oh,
Isn't that brilliant? So good. Yes, this is the ongoing scandal over claims pornography was found on Damien Green's office computer. You may not believe this, but while I was researching this story about Damien Green, pornographic images and the Metropolitan Police, someone actually sent me a dick pic, which I'm going to share with you now. Commissioner Cressida Dick there, doing a fine job. Also this week, the Social Mobility Commission resigned en masse, saying that the Prime Minister was failing in her bid to build a fairer Britain. When she came to power, Theresa May promised to help those who found themselves just about managing, little knowing that 1 year on, that would be her. So, at the end of that round, 2 points apiece.
Brilliant.
Right, and so to round 2, the picture spin quiz. Fingers hovering over the buzzers, teams, please.
This is Donald Trump, having sorted out gun control in America and healthcare. He's now decided to sort out the Middle East. And I'm sure the man who can't even find Theresa May on Twitter is capable of sorting out one of the most deeply entrenched political problems in human history.
He has united almost the entire world, though.
Yeah. Against him.
Against him, yes.
This is the news that the United States have formally recognised Jerusalem as Israel's capital city and plan to relocate their embassy there. How has this gone down with other Middle Eastern powers?
It's a huge button in the last 50 years. Don't press it. And Trump goes, ooh, yeah, bang. I'm hoping this embassy is a bit like the wall.
A sort of invisible...
It's in his head,
wall.
largely.
It's in his head, yeah.
And also, you've got to get someone
years.
to build an embassy in Jerusalem. Anybody fancy that? It's a construction job. Let's get the locals to do it. No, I don't think so. I know, let's get some Mexicans to build it.
What's so frustrating with America being like this is because they are so powerful. There is no way we can hit back.
Maybe little Megan will be our secret weapon. Little Megan, when she comes over here and... Well, she's over here, isn't
I don't
she?
think she's politically that powerful.
She might be. Don't, you know...
She is
don't-
compared to the United Kingdom.
That's true.
No, there have been a lot of reactions from other Middle Eastern powers. The Palestinians have called it the kiss of death for the peace process. Turkey said it would plunge the region and world into a fire with no end in sight. Well, the Organisation for Islamic Cooperation have accused Trump of naked aggression, which I don't think really... No one wants to see that, Donald. Please. Trump made an announcement at the White House. What did some viewers think his speech revealed about him?
That he has dementia?
So close, the word. It's not dementia, it's denture.
Oh,
wow.
They think he might have dentures. Let's have a look.
The message I delivered at the historic and extraordinary summit in Saudi Arabia. I asked the leaders of the region, political and religious, God bless the United States. Thank you very much.
Do you know, it almost looks there like Mike Pence is working his hands, that he's got his hands to his jacket and he's doing that.
There's something going on with the bottom rung, though, isn't
Yeah.
there? There's something...
Are you suggesting it's the teeth that are actually making the speech? That he's somehow prisoner of his own canines? He's got the teeth of Hitler. I can see the film now. They saved Hitler's teeth and bunged them in Trump's mouth. He probably wanted to say, I just wish you all a happy Christmas, and it all came out as, you know... Blah, blah, blah.
Why is Trump doing this now? Why now?
He's having certain problems with a man called Flynn. And this week he seems to have tweeted and landed himself into a load of trouble. And some people are saying he's actually admitted to obstructing justice inadvertently. And his staff's defence of this is that he didn't actually write the tweet.
Yes, it's going to be quite ironic that this man who tweets his innermost thoughts may have accidentally shot himself in the foot, because he said that the reason why I had to sack Flynn was because he lied to the FBI.
Yes.
And then the next day, after sacking Flynn, he then had a meeting with the head of the FBI where he told him to drop the case, which would be an obstruction of justice, if he knew he'd lied to the FBI.
The tweet actually said, I had to fire General Flynn because he lied to the Vice President and the FBI. He's pled guilty to those lies. It's a shame because his actions during the transition were lawful, there was nothing to hide. Which admittedly does sound like the words of a top criminal defence lawyer.
Well, if you go back to that tweet for a moment as well, there's a point that somebody else has made, that when he has pled, lawyers don't say pled, they use the word pleaded.
Yes, pled is odd, isn't it?
Yeah,
That's his teeth. Yeah. He was trying to type pleaded, but it's impossible with those dentures.
He's got the teeth of Hitler and the hands of Mussolini.
Why does it not really matter whether Trump sent the tweet or not?
Because we're all going to die in World War III.
According to Trump's legal team, as Trump is the country's chief law enforcement officer, he cannot obstruct justice.
That's what Nixon tried to say as well. Yeah. So when you're sort of quoting Nixon's defence...
Why might Hillary Clinton be happy and bobbish at the moment?
Because Flynn led the chorus of lock her up, lock her up.
Let's have a look.
Lock her up. That's right. That's right. Lock her up. I'm going to tell you what. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. If I did a tenth of what she did, I would be in jail today.
Luckily, Liberals are not a petty bunch and were big enough to let that slide when Flynn was ushered into a car by his lawyer after news of his indictment broke.
Lock him up! Lock him up! Lock him up! Convicted criminal! Criminal! Lock him up! Lock him up!
It's just one voice, isn't it?
Lock him up! Lock him up!
Oh, that hurt slightly. Two former Trump aides published a tell-all book about the president this week. What did it reveal?
He has his trousers pressed by his staff while he's still wearing them.
Yes, exactly.
He has them steamed.
He likes having them steamed while wearing them. It's so weird. According to the book, Trump would yell, "Get the machine!" And... I've gone all sort of... And Hope Hicks, Trump's communications advisor, would take out the steamer and start steaming Mr. Trump's suit with him still in it.
Yes.
She'd steam the jacket first and then sit in a chair in front of him and steam his pants.
That means trousers in America.
That's true, it does. The book also reveals the secrets of Trump's diet, which the authors compare to the diet of a professional athlete. How did he stay in shape during the election?
He ate 2 Big Macs and 2 fillet of fish for each meal.
That's it.
Yes.
And a milkshake as well.
Is that right?
So good.
Imagine how
yeah.
big those Macs would look in those tiny hands.
I've never had a Big Mac because I'm Indian and I don't partake of the holy cow.
Yeah.
Are they healthy?
There's no problem for you to eat one. There's no meat in them.
Oh, okay.
Another one for the lawyers.
According to the book on Trump Force One, there were 4 major food groups: McDonald's, Kentucky Fried Chicken, pizza and Diet Coke. Trump's preferred order being 2 Big Macs, 2 filet of fish and a chocolate malted milkshake from McDonald's, which is sadly just 20 chicken nuggets and a McFlurry short of an instant heart attack.
Apparently, the same person also said that his plane is littered with opened packets of biscuits because he's a germaphobe and so he doesn't like to go to something that's been touched by someone else. I just don't believe it. I mean, a man with an arse his size always finishes his biscuits, you know. Just don't believe a word of it.
He might have the arse of Stalin. That's 3 films. They saved Hitler's teeth, they saved Mussolini's hands, and oh my God, it's Stalin's arse. Watch out in the cinemas next Christmas.
Finally, what has Trump been doing in a barber's in Taiwan?
Well, he's not been there, has he?
He hasn't been there, but...
But his lookalike has.
Oh, well,
No, they're doing a Trump haircut.
yes, they are.
Is it a barn owl that looks just like him?
Well, not quite.
Not a barn
It's a
owl.
punishment.
Not a barn owl.
Not a barn
No.
owl.
Was it a parrot?
It's not a parrot either.
Parakeet.
Parakeet, sadly not.
No. Well, what sort of bird is it then?
It's not even a bird.
Well, why are we
lads.
mentioning it then? I thought we were playing which bird looks like Trump.
It's not a bird. It's not Trump personally,
No.
but a local Trump fan.
Yes.
Who spent 3 hours in the barber's getting this done.
Looks like Gollum.
Yeah.
This is Donald Trump's latest attempt to bring lasting peace to the world. One of many people to condemn Trump's position on Jerusalem was Pope Francis. Mind you, the popes never really liked the president ever since their first meeting when Trump saw a flash of white dress and plunged forward for a quick grab. Fingers on buzzers, teens.
Oh, there's a guy who has, to show how TripAdvisor can be manipulated, just got all his friends to say this, whatever the restaurant was called, Marco's Spaghetti House or something.
The Shed.
The Shed, was it called The Shed? And so to tweet about it and sort of say, oh, this was really good, and they got to the top of TripAdvisor, but it actually didn't exist.
Absolutely right, Paul. This is the news that a fake restaurant in a shed became London's #1 rated eatery on TripAdvisor. How did the Shed at Dulwich describe itself?
Fusion.
Bit more pretentious.
The Chateauneuf de Pape had an aroma of creosote.
Its fake website explained that they don't have a traditional menu per se. Instead of meals, our menu is comprised of moods. Here are some pictures uploaded to the TripAdvisor website. Can you guess what this is?
It's creme brulee or something, is it?
Is it salmon?
It's actually a bleach tablet covered in honey, shaving foam and pepper. And what do you think this food is?
A rabbit's been over that, hasn't it?
No, it's a sponge covered in paint with shaving foam and coffee beans. And finally, what is this?
Is it like the stuff on it is like from the bottom of your feet when you rub your feet with a...
Is it a joke shop egg?
This is an egg on a foot.
It was
In other fake food news, popular meat substitute manufacturer Quorn have been criticised for their packaging this week. Dan Douglas bought some mini Quorn sausage rolls and then tweeted, "Have you ever seen anything so brazen?" The sausage rolls claimed to be a pack of 12, but then Dan read the small print. 12 mini rolls when cut into 4s. So good.
That is brilliant.
It is brilliant. Which means at the end of this round, it is Ian and Hal have 2, Paul and Satnam on 4. Well done. Time now for the odd one out round. Paul and Satnam, your 4 are Piers Morgan,
Yes.
Vicky Pipe and Jeff Marshall, a demolition company in Detroit, and a Belgian performance artist, Mikish Popper, who's called Mike Popper, but I like saying Mikish Popper.
OK. So Piers Morgan at the top there seems to be eating toast. Maybe he's choking on the toast. The demolition company in Detroit...
They failed to blow up a stadium.
It's got to be that, isn't it? Because there wouldn't be any story and they did blow up a stadium, unless, of course, they hadn't been commissioned to do that. So let's go with that then. Let's say they didn't blow up the stadium.
And that couple, I think, have an ambition to visit every railway station in Britain. So is it about people who want to be completist? Obviously, Piers Morgan wants to annoy every person in Britain. So he's achieved that.
Yep.
3 of them have achieved complete missions, whereas the Detroit company failed.
That's not a bad answer. We'll go with that.
It's so close.
You might as well give us the points then.
It's actually it's more about failure, guys. It's
What about failure?
about failure.
So Piers Morgan failed to choke himself to death, despite sponsorship. The people at the top failed to visit every railway station. No, they went to see every railway. They visited every railway station. Every railway station. So they're the odd ones out because they succeeded and everybody else failed.
Yeah, absolutely right. They've all failed to complete a task apart from Vicky Pipe and Jeff Marshall, who succeeded in their task to visit every train station in Britain this summer.
I bet they didn't mean to.
It's not that interesting a thing to do, though. Well, I suppose it is, but you wouldn't want to spend Christmas with them, would you?
It's so nice!
No, not
We've
when you
been
could
to
have
every
David
station.
Davis come round. That'd be the real treat, wouldn't it? You wouldn't know what to stuff first.
Let's move on to the failures.
Yes.
Piers Morgan was hired to turn on the Christmas lights in Stockbridge in Hampshire. After the Christmas lights in Stockbridge failed to come on, Piers claimed, "I did my job faultlessly. The people who didn't do their job correctly were the people who sabotaged the system." Of course, the real failure was not connecting the live wire to Piers's genitals. Let's have a look at Piers failing.
OK, here we go, Stockbridge. You ready for this? Count after me. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's go.
Now, we must focus on the other failure. It was Micah Polpish. Do you know what he failed at?
Was he going to cover his entire body in gold foil?
No.
And
Ran out of foil.
No.
It's got nothing to do with what we're looking at then?
No, it really hasn't.
No. It's going to be difficult for us to get it then, isn't it?
He chained himself to an enormous block of marble from which he tried to sort of chisel himself out. And after his 19-day ordeal...
19 days?
Yep. He told the Telegraph, "This block of marble was the symbol of history, the history of art, which I am trying to free myself from. I have discovered that this is not possible." Vicky Pipe and Jeff Marshall spent 15 weeks this summer visiting every single one of Britain's railway stations by train. To pay for their railway journey to every station, they crowdfunded £38,000. That got them as far as Manchester in peak time. After that, they were on their own. Piers Morgan's attempt to turn on the Christmas lights in Stockbridge was unsuccessful. This is an odd failure for a man who can normally light up a room just by leaving it. Ian and Hal, here are yours. Major Charles Ingram, residents of Newfield Lodge Retirement Home in Castleford, Henry VIII's wives and SpongeBob SquarePants.
Well, that's Major Ingram, who was accused of cheating on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire.
Guy,
And he coughed.
Yeah, or somebody coughed in the
Someone
audience.
coughed in
A
the
friend
audience.
coughed in the audience, yeah.
Is coughing the link?
No, coughing's not the link. Since it's nearly Christmas, I'll give you a Christmassy clue.
Was it Panto?
No.
Is everyone in Panto?
No.
Anne Boleyn?
No.
Reading in Octagon?
They've written a play about Charles Ingram on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire.
They have.
There's been many plays about the 6 wives of Henry VIII. SpongeBob Playpants, whatever his name is, he's got a play written about him, and the care home haven't because it wouldn't be very interesting.
Were they in a play?
Yes.
Yes, they're points all round, guys. They've all been the subject of
Understand what's happening.
This is what it's like in a care home. What's happening now? Have we had our custard?
They've all been the subject of stage adaptations, apart from the elderly residents of Castleford Retirement Home in Yorkshire, who are putting on a nativity play. Yes. The cast features a 93-year-old sheep, and here's the star of the show, 98-year-old Mary Maskell, who's playing the donkey. Now, why is she particularly happy to be playing the donkey?
It's warm.
In rehearsal, she triumphantly declared, "I've even got teeth." It's really lovely. She told the Mirror, "I might be even better when I get my new hearing aid in."
Very good.
It's quite sweet, but it's going to be rubbish. Sorry. No, good luck with it.
And
You're the most conflicted person I've ever met.
Really weird.
Horrible to old people. Nice to David Davis. Yeah.
And Henry VIII's 6 wives are to be the subject of a new West End musical called Six. Cambridge University students Lucy Moss and Toby Marlowe wrote the musical for the Edinburgh Fringe Festival this year, where it was put on by the Cambridge University Musical Theatre Society, or CUMTS. They've all been the subject of stage adaptations, apart from the elderly residents of Castleford Retirement Home in Yorkshire, who are putting on a nativity play. The cast, all in their 80s and 90s, include a 93-year-old as a sheep and a 98-year-old as a donkey. Even more amazing, their parents are all coming to watch it. Rehearsals have been very stressful, as each time the angel descends, everyone wonders who it's come for this time. Which means at the end of this wonderful round, it is Ian and Hal with 3 points, Paul and Satnam with 7. Time now for the Missing Words round, which this week features as its guest publication, Prehistoric Times. On page 3, there's a girl who is, of course, triceratopless. And we start with pigeons are much cleverer than we thought and could even what?
And could even hold down a job in the government, making David Davis look like the that he actually is.
It's actually understand the concept of space and time. Yeah. Time is very important for pigeons. 1 hour 40 at gas mark 5 and they're delicious. Next, what? The ultimate tribute to suffragettes.
The bootleg suffragettes.
It's all-female Big Brother. To celebrate 100 years of women's suffrage, Channel 5 have announced they will be running a female-only Celebrity Big Brother in January. When the producer was asked to comment on the series, he said, "It's a great step forward for the feminist movement, and I bet they keep the house nice and tidy too." Next, no need to despair. Prehistoric Times will leave you without care, so find a comfy chair. You can even...
Eat a pear. Kiss a bear.
You're right about the rhyming.
It is rhyming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretend you're Tony Blair.
Yeah.
Pretend you're Tony Blair.
Pretend you're Tony Blair.
You can even touch me there.
Oh. It is, in fact, read it in your underwear.
Oh.
The most poetic use of the English language since Charlotte and Emily Brontosaurus. Next, what an interesting approach to keeping warm this winter.
Maximum security prison.
Mega something.
Mega scarves.
Mega scarves, exactly, that make women look like a giant sock.
Oh, my God.
Here is the massive scarf.
That's a bit awkward.
I just think elephant's penis. Yes. Sorry.
How often does this happen to you?
Finally, mother so scared by virtual reality experience, she what?
Shut herself.
Grabs wrong end of dog. This is good. Let's have a look at this important moment. So the final scores are Ian and Hal have 3 points, Paul and Satnam have 9 points. And I leave you with news that in Sussex, locals realise that Southern Rail are already operating on a Christmas timetable. At the launch of a new iPhone charger, Apple once again create a product incompatible with anything else. And in New York, evidence emerges that once a year, like other reptiles, Donald Trump sheds his skin. Good night.
Company from Jason Manford, music from the Vamps, and the first ever double centre wall. It's Michael McIntyre's Big Show next, here on BBC One.